and welcome to another episode of the Red, White, and Blues podcast. It's just me tonight, Daniel. Jason had other oblos tonight, so he cannot record. So I'm here by myself, having PTSD flashbacks to when Jason left me for like a month in December, January, yeah. But he will be back Monday at our regularly scheduled time. So I had to get on here. This won't be a long episode. I'm going to text Jason and see if he has a prediction for the Wrexham match this weekend, and we will see what he says. But had to get on here, talk a little bit about the Villa match, just for a little bit, because Chelsea actually won. Shocker, I know. It's the first time that we've done that in a while, or this decisively. Let's say it that way. We've won, but not in this fashion and not in this way. And I think that, the boys need their kudos for that. When they play well, they definitely need their kudos. When they play like shit, they need to be told they played like shit. So it is what it is. But yeah, they won. Everything was great. It's a great match. I guess when you start with the starting lineup, not too shabby of a lineup. Pretty much probably what most people expected. Santos getting dropped. Interesting. I didn't have a great game against Arsenal, so I guess you can sort of say understandable. Garnacho getting the start. We don't have any other wingers. They're all freaking hurt or have red cards. So Rosenior can praise Garnacho all he wants to, but there really had nobody else to play left wing in this match. So with that said, the big controversy, or not controversy, or whatever you want to call it, is discussion before the match. Let's call it that. Was the benching of Robert Sanchez. This has been a very hate pro Robert Sanchez podcast. Much like this, season is gone. There's been moments where we've praised Sanchez, and there's been moments where we've been like, why is this idiot in between the post at Chelsea? Any questions? More questions probably, and more negativity and more of that side of the argument than the praise, especially last year, because he was diabolically bad last year for 3/4 of the season. This year, however, I think he has been a very good goalkeeper. I mean, look, the on this podcast before, Bob has his limitations. He cannot play with his feet. He is terrible at distributing the ball. He sucks at those two things, which are fair point. Jason makes a lot of times on this podcast that those are part of being a goalkeeper and that you need to be able to do those things. He just can't. So, but I would put him up against anybody else in the Premier League as far as shot stoppers go. I think he's one of the best shot stoppers in the Premier League. Not goalkeepers, didn't say that. Shot stoppers. Don't clip me. Don't take this out of context. He is one of the best shot stoppers in the Premier League. With that said, I thought it was an interesting move by Rosenior to bench him after the Arsenal performance. It wasn't a good performance. I mean, you can't argue that. You can't say, like, Bob had this outstanding performance and he got benched. It was not a great performance because Rosenior's asking Bob to do things that Bob is incapable of doing. Playing out from the back, it's not what Bob's good at. We said this when we hired Rosenior, that he would have to adjust his tactics when he came to Chelsea because he is a very play out from the back and fight the press. The goalkeepers are heavily involved in that. If we watched, Strasbourg, when he was there, the goalkeeper half the time would be up at freaking midfield. I'm like, I get it. That's his tactics. Whether whatever. It is what it is. But with that said, I don't know. I thought it was a little unfair to Bob. I think Bob's been outstanding this year. I think, in my opinion, if you're Rosenior, you need to learn to adjust and adjust your tactics to the players you have. We saw Maresca do this last year, and that's when Chelsea went on their big run at the end of the season and through the Club World Cup, was when Maresca finally stopped being stubborn and stopped trying to play out from the back with Bob and just told Bob to get the damn ball long. And that's what Bob started doing. We didn't know where the hell the ball was going to go half the time. Or 90% of the time probably is more an accurate statement. But nonetheless, Jurgensen started. Jurgensen did not have a bad game. I just don't think Jurgensen is as good a shot stopper as Sanchez is. And I do not think that Jurgensen is miles better with his feet and miles better distributing the ball than Bob is. I think they both are pretty overall if you're rating them very mid goalkeepers. So yeah, I don't know, but the point is we won the match. Jurgensen got the win, deservingly so. He played a decent game. He had a couple big stops in that match. He did. From Watkins, tested him a couple of different times, and he had a couple of really big saves. And this is the thing. We won the match, but let's just start with the negative, I guess. The only negative I have from this whole match, and it's the same negative I have for this whole season, is our defense. It's just trash. There's no other way around it. There was at one point in this match where, I'm so sick of Fofana. He drives me crazy when he's on the pitch. There was one point, I think it was Watkins. I don't know. Don't hold me to that. Maybe I'm almost 90% sure it was Watkins, but he made a run across Fofana at the halfway line, and pretty sure it was their goalkeeper, one of their center backs, played the ball over the top. And Fofana, instead of tracking back, flops and falls down, acts like he got hit in the freaking face, and it leaves Watkins, one-on-one with Chalobah and Jurgensen, and Chalobah got back and made a great defensive play in that sense. And Chalobah made a couple really big defensive plays. He had another one in the box later on. He had a couple of really big plays in this match. Fofana just sort of shit the bed, as Fofana has done lately. But there was still far too many holes in our defense. There was still far too many times where Villa got in on goal and had shots and had good looks. They easily, I can think of 2 more goals they should have had off the top of my head. I honestly looked at their XG thinking it would be fairly high. It wasn't. It's like, I think it was like, it ended up being like a 1.3, 1.4, somewhere around there. So I'm going to go look, but oh hell, I'll go look. I don't even care. But yeah, I figured their XG would be a little higher. Yeah, it wasn't even a 1. It was 0.78, and they scored a goal. And they had 4 shots on target, 3 big chances. Don't know how. This is why I don't like XG. It's not my favorite stat. I felt like they had at least 3 good chances. Capitalized on 1, didn't on the other 2. Could have easily been a 4-3 match. Could have been a lot better. This is what we say about this team all the time. Defensively, they're just not sound. They're not that great of players. They are going to give up chances. They're going to give up looks on goal, and it's just a matter of whether you capitalize on them or not. We saw it last week against Arsenal. They gave up chances. Arsenal just can't score unless it's from a corner. They're just incapable of scoring from open play because they're just a boring-ass team. But yeah, we see it all the time. We saw it the first leg of the League Cup semifinal against Arsenal, where our mistakes led to their 3 goals that they had and really sort of put us behind the 8 ball. Not a great look, when we're the ones creating the other team's chances for them. And it happens far too many times in a match, and it's just, will the other team capitalize on those chances? Thankfully, Villa did not in this match, and they paid the price. So let's switch to sort of the positives now, because that's really the only negative, and it's been the same thing this whole season. The positives, I think you look at Garnacho, had an insanely good first half. I think he created 5 chances in just a fantastic first half for Garnacho. Looked great, flying down the wing. Matty Cash picked up a yellow card in the first half. He took advantage of that, started driving a little deeper into the box with Cash backing off. Garnacho had all intents and purposes, he had a fantastic game in the first half. Second half, not that great. He had an assist, one of the assists to Joao Pedro. Um, but it wasn't like he wasn't consistent through the whole match. Second half, he should have had a couple of goals probably, especially right there at the end, 1-on-1 with the keeper, and just fluffed. I mean, just shot it right at Martinez. Struggling scoring the ball, but he looked better. This is probably the best I've seen him since he came on and scored the 2 goals against Arsenal, which honestly, in the League Cup semifinal, which I don't think he's really played that much since then, to be honest, though. But I thought his first half was really good. And if we got that Garnacho consistently, I don't think people would really complain about him. But that's the problem with this whole team. It's not just Garnacho, it's the inconsistencies. But Garnacho, great first half. Gusto had a couple really decent plays, especially his assist to Joao Pedro after being played over the top by Enzo. It was a brilliant ball by Enzo over the top to Gusto, and then just Gusto's touch was fantastic and just did exactly what he was supposed to do. There's nothing else he could have done in that situation except put the ball on the ground and just he did what he's supposed to do, put it in the box, and Joao Pedro did what a striker's supposed to do. Goes and gets the ball and puts it in the back of the net. And I think, when you talk about Joao Pedro now, that is the one thing I think he brings that Nico doesn't, and that Delap doesn't, and that Guiu doesn't, is that, and he has that thing that you can't teach. He puts himself in the position, and he's a ball hog. Like, he knows where the ball is going to be. He gets there and puts it in the back of the net. I can't tell you how many times he's barely missed goals this year, because it's very similar to like the Gusto cross. Somebody will cross it and he'll go sliding in and just miss it by inches. That has happened many times this year. Joao Pedro is just one of those players that he's got a great motor. He's always going to keep running. He's going to keep fighting. He's going to keep going for the ball. First 20 goal scorer in our season since Diego Costa's been here. That's just mind-blowing. It's first striker that's done it since Costa has left. Just absolutely insane stat with that. But, I just feel like Joao Pedro he's finding his form, and I'm really just going to blame Maresca for him sucking in the middle of the season. Really going to blame it. This is Joao Pedro is Super Senior as Cole Palmer was to Poch. Like, right now, Joao Pedro is just dragging this lifeless team across the finish line, trying to will us to victory every match, trying to do his best to secure the 3 points that we desperately need every time we step on the pitch. So, Joao Pedro, huge match. First hat trick in the Premier League, first hat trick for Chelsea. Hell of a match from him. If he continues on this trajectory, Chelsea might have finally, going to knock on some wood here, found a damn striker. Because it has been ages since we've had a striker that we can be like, look to and be like, that's the guy that's going to go out there and scores 20, 25 goals a season. He's going to have 7, 8 assists, 30 plus goal contributions, and is really going to make a difference in where we finish in the table. Whereas in these past few seasons, we haven't had that from a striker. Strikers barely get into double digits. So, and I mean, he doesn't have, he's more of a flair player. He's not the hold up type, which is fine because it fits for senior system. Just fine. And he can do hold up play a little bit, just not as probably good as some of the other people. But he's having a great season. I think we saw glimpses of that in the Club World Cup this summer, and when we saw that, that's the only prediction Jason me will probably get right this year is freaking Joao Pedro being Chelsea's leading scorer. So we both predicted that at the beginning of the season. So yeah, great match from him. I just hope he keeps it up because nobody else is really looking dangerous in front of goal. Palmer finally gets an open play goal. Thankfully, finally, hopefully, this will propel Palmer to start helping out Joao Pedro. So let's put it that way. He'll get on the score sheet more consistently now, not from penalties. Open play goals is what I'm talking about here. So hopefully Palmer will get a little bit more of that going because we really need it going down this stretch with one of the toughest schedules, in the Premier League left to play. We still have City left on the docket. I don't even remember. We got a shit ton of people left to play. So, yeah, but it was just an overall a good performance. And the one thing I will say about Rafinha, I know Jason does not like his tactics. I know it does. Jason is not a big fan of what Rafinha does on the pitch. The one thing I will say about Rafinha, whether you like his tactics or you don't like his tactics, the one thing you can't argue is that we are making more progress in the final third. We are more dangerous in front of goal. I'm not saying we're capitalizing on all of the chances because we're clearly not. We're still missing chances. But we are a lot more dangerous in that final third. That was the one thing with Maresca. Maresca was so big about recycling the ball back. It was almost like the players were scared to shoot half the time. So, there was so much recycle the ball. You got to just look for that perfect moment. And it doesn't have to be a perfect moment. The perfect example of that is, I believe it was the end of the first half. Is that when Joao Pedro scored his second goal? Let me see. Hold on. Yeah, it was the end of the second half goal where Garnacho went bounding down the wing, passed it into end zone. Enzo's, two guys, Villa guys sort of drop on him. He gets the ball off his feet and passes through their legs right to Joao Pedro. Joao Pedro, in my opinion, that was his best finish of the night, because Martinez was rushing out at him. He had to get it over him, but he had to keep it low, and he had to put it in the bottom corner. And he did all those things. But it was one of those things that, it wasn't the perfect situation. It wasn't one of those perfect things, but because we forced something, we went for it. We didn't just recycle the damn ball backwards like we did with Maresca all the time. We had that more of an attacking mindset. It worked out in our favor. And I feel like that is a lot more prominent under Rafinha. And I said I don't like XG, but this stat did come across, and I thought it was an interesting stat. Like I said, I'm not a big XG guy. But we've created a 19-point XG in 8 games under Rafinha so far. That's an average of about 2.5 XG a match. Under Maresca, we created 33 XG in 19 games. It's about a 1.7 XG per match. So Rafinha's, doubling Maresca at this point in time. And roundabout doubling, not quite, but yeah. Questions, can he keep it up? I think he will, because I do think his mindset is, fight the press, pass to the open man, get the numbers, go forward and attack. I do think that there's still a little bit of that Maresca ball in Chelsea, because you will see at times they do have a break and then they pull it back, which was one of my biggest gripes about Maresca. So many times we'd go on breaks and we wouldn't finish the breaks. We would just stop and recycle the damn ball backwards. I still think that's a little bit there, but I think, give them the offseason, maybe Rafinha can instill in them more going forward mentality. But, you can definitely tell it's switched. It is different than Maresca. It is not the same thing. I still think he has his little quirks where he does things, and I'm like, why? Why are you doing this? It doesn't make any sense. I think he is a little more adaptable. I don't think he always gets things right. Arsenal match, good example of that. Twice now. 3 times now, actually. He hasn't gotten anything right in the 3 matches against Arsenal. So, but overall, I think Rafinha's done a pretty decent job. I really would just like him to get the defense secure, but honestly, I don't know if there's a lot you can do. So I'm not going to put too much of that on him, because I think at some point it does fall on the players, and it does fall on them to actually do shit, not just have their thumbs up their asses the entire match or switch off for time, for instances, or for periods of time. There we go. That's what I'm looking for periods of time, and allow the other team back into the match. It happens. So yeah, I'm optimistic about this. Excited about what we can do, what we have going on. The trajectory of the win, and this is what we've said. You've got to build off of this. You've got to build off this momentum that you've captured in this Villa match, and you've got to go out and use that momentum and propel yourself forward, because you've got Wrexham on the weekend in the FA Cup Saturday, and then you've got PSG next Wednesday in the Champions League. So it's one of those things, like, you really got to put your head down. You've got to grind. You've got to go. Then we got Newcastle on that Saturday. So, I mean, the next run of games is Wrexham, PSG, Newcastle, PSG. And then Everton, who's our bogey team. And then City, and then United in back-to-back weeks. So, I mean, like, it's a rough schedule coming up. Rough. And it's going to have to, these players are going to have to show up. And that's the one I'm talking about. You can't switch off in these matches. Like, these matches, you switch off, our teams are going to capitalize, especially a team like PSG. I mean, even somebody like a Wrexham, who's an underdog at this point in time, they're just not there. They're going to be playing with that underdog mentality at home, at the race course. It's going to be bumping, and it's going to be loud and raucous, and it'll be interesting to see if Sanchez starts, because I think that has been pointed out that one of the things that Sanchez does seem to struggle with is the crowd noise, is when the opposing fans get in his head. Or he could just suck playing with his feet. I don't know. I think it's probably just he sucks playing with his feet, but that has been said. So, Saturday, we travel in the FA Cup to Wrexham, and it'll be fun. Last 2 times we played Wrexham in the preseason, we've beaten them. So, there's that. Jason just texted me his prediction of 3-0. I am going to go with a 2-1 win for Chelsea. I do think Wrexham will score. They're just at home. Just scratch that 3-2 Chelsea. We will eke out a 3-2 victory. Because I do think Wrexham will score, because it's going to be a crazy atmosphere. But then we have PSG at the midweek next week, so it'll be interesting to see how Rossini rotates, especially the wings. Assuming Pedro Neto, he'll probably come on and have a damn hat trick this weekend, because he always excels against lesser competition. So the Pedro Neto way. So it'll be interesting to see what we do with that, how we rotate the squad, how Rossini handles that, who he's going to rest for, because you have such a big match in the midweek. Champions League still within grasp. We are 5th currently. Thankfully, Liverpool lost. So we are 5th. We are, couple points, I believe we're 3 points behind Villa. Yeah, 3 points behind Villa and 3 points behind United. We still have to play United, so that's huge. As long as we don't lose any ground to them between now and then, which we know we have City and Newcastle before then. But you could finish the season strong. Just build off the momentum and keep going. That's all I've got this week. So like, subscribe, follow, do all that bullshit on YouTube if you're watching us there. Get in the comments who's scored the Wrexham match this weekend, who you got, what's how much is Chelsea going to win by, what's your score predictions for this weekend. We're also on all socials, Twitter, Instagram, Substack. We write stuff on there, and check us out, Red White Blues FC, right down there at the bottom of your screen, for all your viewing pleasure. And then we are also on Apple, Spotify, Amazon now, Jason tells me. Even though we were holding out for the Bezos bag, we did not get it successfully. So we just gave in to peer pressure, and we're on Amazon now. So wherever you listen to your podcast app, we're there as well. So yeah, we also got other stuff on our YouTube channel. We do card videos every Sunday, and we do yeah, that's about it. We should do card videos on Sundays. It's really all we got on our YouTube channel. This podcast, cool stuff, whatever. Go do all that stuff. Just give us a follow on there. We'll keep you entertained, or we'll try to. It'll be a lot more entertaining when Jason's with me than me by myself. But until next time, we'll catch you guys and gals on the flip side.